What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and Kyle back at you again. And Kyle, it's time for another mock draft, right? We did a mock draft, about a week and a half or so ago, but a lot changes. And now we're going to kind of throw a few wrinkles into the mock draft. We got a couple trades that we'll talk about and kind of see where the pieces fall. Plus, we may have a little bit of a surprise at the end where maybe we extend it to the second round for the people.
Who knows? We're just throwing it out there.
I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe we want to stay tuned and find out. But we're not going to take a whole lot of time. We're going to try to get through this mock as quickly as possible. I know a lot of you are probably bored out there in YouTube land, but that does not mean that we're going to have an hour and a half long video because a lot of people aren't going to watch an hour and a half long video. So we'll get through these picks here really quick. Before we do, just a reminder, over on our website, thefantasyheadliners.com, our draft guide for fantasy football, if that's what you're interested in, is available for pre-order right now. So go get your copy. If you're looking forward to some football, can I get an amen there from you, Kyle?
Hallelujah.
There you go. Praise the Lord. We're looking for some football. All right, Kyle, let's kick it off right here. Number 1 overall. And once again, this has kind of been the way we've been mocking things from the very beginning. There's no reason as of right now to really move Joe Burrow off of the top spot.
Nope. Staying with Joe Burrow at number 1. Definitely think that's what's going to happen. I don't think Cincinnati will be trading out of that spot. However, at number 2, that's where things start to get interesting for us.
It does. We have a trade coming up with the Los Angeles Chargers, trading up with the Washington Redskins, swapping picks here in the first round. Also, there'd be more involved in a real-life trade. But here for the first round, swapping. So Washington moves back to 6, the Chargers up to 2. And why do they do that? They want to get in front of the Miami Dolphins and grab Tua from Alabama. There's some videos that have come out recently. A lot of people saying, he looks good. Maybe not be 100%. But this may be the only way the Chargers get their guy if Tua's their guy.
Yeah, and with the way that he looked in his workout yesterday that was posted online, or yesterday as we're recording this, not yesterday when it comes out, but a couple days ago when looking online, I mean, he looks good. He looks like he's getting healthy. They said that there was only one team in the top 10 that did not pass him in their physical.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that has to do with, teams' inabilities to actually see these players physically. I mean, a lot of it's just done, through, telehealth stuff now. Nobody's allowed to be out there traveling. So that's really going to be a little bit of a difference in this draft, right, Kyle? I mean, a lot of teams may end up just going with their guys because they're not going to have these opportunities of pro days and, the ability to go out and see these guys firsthand and have them run through certain drills.
Yeah, I think those are the two things that we'll end up seeing. Number 1, you might see some guys end up slipping down the draft board just because these teams have locked certain guys in and they've said, these are the grades, these are the guys that we like. With this being like a teleconference, televideo type of draft, teams aren't going to want to get into a situation where they're like, this guy's falling right now. Do we really like him that much? Let's just go with our guy because we don't want to wait till the last second and have something mess up. And number 2, there might not be a ton of trades. I think the only trades that we'll really end up seeing will end up being before draft night. And then I think you might see kind of a quiet draft in terms of trades.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we have Tua going number 2 now to the Chargers, but which is great because, with Tyrod Taylor, if he's there for this year, gives Tua that year to sit behind him. He's not rushed into that starting spot. But number 3, the Detroit Lions, now that, Washington was not in the number 2 spot, Chase Young falls to number 3, and I cannot imagine a world that we live in, even though the world we live in is pretty crazy right now, where the Lions would pass on a talent like Chase Young coming out of Ohio State there on the edge.
Yep, no, that would be a home run pick for them. That's really the only way that I wouldn't want them to trade out, but I don't think there's going to be any trades with the Lions. I think someone could potentially trade up to 2, but if LA is going to move up, they're going to move up to get Tua. They're not going to move up to get Herbert. Herbert would end up falling to them.
Yep, agreed. All right, number 4, the New York Giants kind of get a present in their lap. Also, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson. He fills a lot of different needs, and a lot of people want to see Simmons there for the Giants. There's this, going back and forth. Do they go, which way do they go? Do they go offensive line? Do they go with a player like Simmons? I don't think you can pass on an elite defensive prospect like Isaiah Simmons here if you're the Giants.
No, definitely. I think Simmons is the pick here. If Simmons were to be gone for some reason, if it doesn't shake out, then I do think they go offensive line.
Yep. Number 5, the Miami Dolphins. Well, they missed out on Tua, right? Because the Chargers traded up and took him. So what is plan B? Well, a lot of teams don't have Justin Herbert very far behind, if at all. A lot of teams actually maybe prefer Justin Herbert's type of talent there in the draft. So we have Miami taking him right here, number 5 overall.
And the one thing about Herbert is that he could step in quicker. So if for some reason this is a Miami team that does compete this year, and now that Tom Brady is gone, yes, the Bills are going to be very good. But if Miami feels like, hey, we made enough moves in free agency, Herbert's the guy that could take over for Ryan Fitzpatrick if Fitzmagic doesn't have that magic this year.
Way to go. I was hoping you'd catch on to that. All right, number 6 now. So this is where the Washington Redskins moved back to. So they're in the 6th spot after that trade with the Chargers. We got them taking Jeffrey Okudah, defensive back out of Ohio State, arguably the best DB in the draft. And that's a need for the Redskins, right? It's kind of been a need for a long time. When they signed Josh Norman a few years back, they thought they got their lockdown corner. Well, that obviously, did not happen. That experiment is over. But this kid, it kind of seems like one of those can't-miss prospects at the defensive back position.
Yeah, and I would argue they need cornerback more than they need an edge rusher right now. So I think for them to move back, gain an extra pick elsewhere, and then get a guy that helps them in a premium position, yep, go for it.
Yep, number 7, we have the Carolina Panthers. We kind of discussed it as maybe the Carolina Panthers one of these teams that try to trade back during this draft, and going back and forth, really, I think that personally they keep the pick. Matt Rule there has made a lot of moves, but they haven't really made a whole lot of moves on the defensive side of the football. I mean, their offense is Teddy Bridgewater is there, Robbie Anderson, but they need to work on that defense, and an interior defensive line is where they need to go. Derek Brown out of Auburn is available, and it should be the pick here for the Panthers.
Yeah, we talked about this pick a little bit because I thought, maybe somebody moves up, and you'll see that here in a minute who we're talking about. But you're like, no, I think they're going to stay here to get Derek Brown. Derek Brown being a guy that some people think is a top 5 prospect. If you're going to have him here, you might as well take him.
Agreed. Number 8, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, for the longest time, we're like, man, they're going with CeeDee Lamb in that offense, and it's going to be awesome. Then they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins, so now they don't really need that. So now they can really focus on the offensive line and protect the assets that they have, and especially with Kyler Murray, give him more time to throw the ball. There's an offensive lineman out there that is literally the size of like San Antonio, Texas. The dude is huge. It's Mekhi Becton out of Louisville, and he's definitely somebody that could help protect the blind side of Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton really helped his stock go up during the combine. You've seen some videos of him out there pushing cars around and working out still while everyone's quarantined. But the guy has shot up draft boards. The 1, 2, and 3 offensive tackles are kind of a 1A, 1B, 1C for me anyway right now. So it might just be preference for these teams.
Agreed. Number 9 now, another trade. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving up here, and a lot of people may kind of wonder why. It's only a few spots. They'd trade the pick with Jacksonville, who would move back to 14. But they have Tom Brady now. They have Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans. They have, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. But they need to protect Tom Brady. He's not exactly what you would call nimble in the pocket. They need to work on that offensive line, and we have them taking Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle out of Alabama.
Yeah, and the reason that I'm mocking them to move up here, again, that's what we talked about the Panthers. Could they potentially move up to the Panthers? But I think they're going to want to move up in this area because you have the Cardinals, the Browns, and the Jets. All 3 of those teams have needs at offensive tackle. Tampa Bay desperately needs to add to the offensive line with having Tom Brady there now. If they're not going to draft a running back this year and they're really going to run with Ronald Jones, you have to be able to give him some room to get through the offensive line. So definitely a must-have pick for them. And I think them moving up here makes a whole lot of sense. And because they're not moving up a whole lot of picks, it probably won't cost them a whole lot extra either, because Jacksonville moving back will still be able to get a guy that they need.
They're going to need to open up some big holes if Ronald Jones is going to be successful. All right, number 10. The Cleveland Browns, you just mentioned it, they also have a need on the offensive line. That offense is already stacked. Defense, overall, solid. But let's help protect Baker Mayfield and open up some bigger holes for Nick Chubb. Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia, going to the Cleveland Browns.
Yep, that should be their focus. They're pretty solid on defense. We know they have the weapons on offense. Let's just give Baker Mayfield some more time.
Yep, number 11, the New York Jets, Jets, Jets. They have needs everywhere because they pretty much suck. And there's not a whole lot of playmakers there, right? And as much as I hate this from a fantasy football perspective, they need some playmakers on the outside to make Sam Darnold, or at least give Sam Darnold the opportunity to be successful. CeeDee Lamb, the best wide receiver, in my opinion, in the draft, going 11th overall to the Jets, and I absolutely hate it for fantasy football purposes because Adam Gase just ruins everything.
Yeah, they should go offensive tackle. They should invest in giving Sam Darnold some more time. And then because of how deep wide receiver is, invest later. However, make a sexy pick, make a sexy splash. You haven't done a whole lot this offseason, so go get yourself that wide receiver one. But not only do you need somebody for Sam Darnold, you spent a whole lot of money on Le'Veon Bell. And if you don't have weapons to pull cornerbacks and defenders down out of the box, there's not going to be a whole lot of space for you when you get to the offensive line.
Yep, number 12, the Las Vegas Raiders. Kyle, did you see that they lit up the Death Star over there?
I did. I saw that. It's looking good.
It's pretty sexy looking. I like it a lot.
We've said sexy several times on this show already.
Yeah, well, that's right. Nobody's paying attention. Number 12, the Las Vegas Raiders. Another one of these teams who needs playmakers, right? Who is Derek Carr going to throw the ball to? I mean, he's got Darren Waller and he's only got Darren Waller. So let's give him another, top high-end prospect, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama, and he could go in there and get a huge target share right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another team that could potentially move up. Maybe they want to try and get up in front of the New York Jets so they can take the wide receiver they want. Maybe they're like, Jeudy is our guy. We don't want to risk the Jets potentially taking him, or maybe Lamb's their guy and they don't want to risk the Jets taking him. So keep an eye on Las Vegas. They could potentially move a couple of spots.
Agreed. Number 13, the San Francisco 49ers now after the trade with the Indianapolis Colts. They have a few needs, right? But their defense is what really carried them throughout the year. They're okay on the offensive side. Yes, there's a need possibly for another wide receiver, but here, Richard Sherman's not getting any younger. They're going to need some help on the outside defensive back. We have C.J. Henderson out of Florida going to the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep. Nope. This is a great pick for them. I've talked about their defensive backfield, with their other pick in the first round, but getting up here lets them get one of the top tier cornerbacks. C.J. Henderson maybe a little bit more of a project than what some of the other guys are, but has a tremendous ceiling.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Number 14. This is where the Jacksonville Jaguars moved back to. Now, they moved back a few spots because the guy that they really want is probably still on the board here anyway. Needs some help on the edge. They've lost Calais Campbell. They need some help, creating more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina is their pick here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great spot for them again to move back because the teams that are in front of them aren't going to be looking to draft Kinlaw. So this is a perfect win for them and for the Buccaneers.
Agreed. 15, the Denver Broncos. Now, Courtland Sutton, a lot of people, liking the possibility of him having a breakout year coming here in 2020, but he can't do it alone. Noah Fant at the tight end position, another high-end prospect. But Drew Lock needs some more speed in this offense. How do you, increase speed? How about adding arguably the fastest guy in the draft, Henry Ruggs out of Alabama, wide receiver going to Denver?
Yep, and I'm fully on they should take defense train. I think that they should. But again, you've got Drew Lock, young quarterback. Obviously, they've missed on several quarterbacks since Peyton Manning. Might as well get him weapons and start letting him develop with those weapons right now. So I'm starting to come around to a wide receiver a little bit more for them here at this pick.
Yeah, it makes some sense. Number 16, the Atlanta Falcons. We also have them taking a defensive back here. Cornerback Christian Fulton out of LSU. A lot of people love this kid's talent, and he's going to need to go to a division that's going to have a lot of high-powered offenses in it, right? You got to contend with, Drew Brees and now Tom Brady and Teddy Bridgewater in this division. I mean, they're going to have to beef up the secondary. Christian Fulton goes to the Falcons here.
Yeah, basically all offseason with the Falcons, we talked about the need to create pressure. But at this point now, after a lot of these offseason moves, these free agency moves, I think we're looking a little bit more at a cornerback pick at this point.
Yep, absolutely agreed. All right, number 17, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, for a few mock drafts, we had safety Xavier McKinney going here because of the loss of Byron Jones. Well, they've signed HaHa Clinton-Dix, which is always fun to say, but they still need help in the secondary. So here we have Texas Horned Frog himself out of TCU, Jeff Gladney, going to the Dallas Cowboys.
Gladney's one of my favorite cornerbacks in this draft, and I think it speaks to how much I've gotten used to our banter at this point because I was able to take a drink of water and you made a HaHa Clinton-Dix joke and I didn't even spit it out.
No, you're used to it by this point. I mean, it is what it is, right? You've come to understand that I'm not that mature. All right, number 18. This is another Miami Dolphins pick. And they satisfied their need for quarterback early, but now they need help creating a little bit more pressure on the outside. Also, edge rush is definitely something that they're looking to improve here in the draft. And at this spot, they get a great opportunity to take Clavon Chason out of LSU.
Yeah, Miami's going to knock this draft out of the park with their first 2 picks already, but they're going to have picks in the second, and they still have a pick coming up in the third. So they're going to be loaded at this point. So watch out for Miami. They're turning the corner here.
That's right. Agreed. Number 19, the Las Vegas Raiders once again with their next pick. And arguably one of my favorite players in this draft. Now, Isaiah Simmons from the linebacker position is kind of in a tier of himself, but right underneath him, it's Patrick Queen, in my opinion. And linebacker out of LSU is who we have going to the Raiders to kind of be a leader on that defensive side of things.
Yeah, that's one of his best assets is his leadership, his his ability to be vocal on the field. And that's what Las Vegas needs in the middle of the defense right now. So this is a perfect fit for Las Vegas.
Yep, number 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars here with their next pick. And this is where we've kind of slid Xavier McKinney down. After he did not go to Dallas, move him down to Jacksonville. Definitely feels a need there in the secondary for them also. And arguably they get the best safety in the draft here at the 20th spot. So Xavier McKinney out of Alabama going to Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville is able to add here in the first 20 picks 2 of the better defensive backs in this draft, and they sorely need to get back to their identity of having a strong defense. So this is a great step in that direction.
Yep, 21, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I think everybody that watches the NFL agrees that the Eagles need help with people to catch balls in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
If they have weapons, they don't stay healthy. So let's give Carson Wentz an opportunity in 2020. I mean, we need to start getting some young, weapons in there for him to really take advantage of, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, not exactly, something that has turned into much yet, but he's still young. He'll have time to develop, but he needs more weapons, and he needs them now. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, one of the most pro-ready wide receivers that can step in right away this year.
Yeah, and that's why I have Jefferson going here over Mims, is when you say the pro readiness there. I think Justin Jefferson is a little bit more of a prototypical wide receiver that they really need to add that can become that wide receiver 1. So that's why I like him just a spot ahead here.
Yep, 22, you just mentioned the name. It's for the Minnesota Vikings, and you just talked about Denzel Mims. This is somebody who, he's still raw. He's going to need time to develop, but the talent is absolutely through the roof for this kid. So Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor, going to Minnesota to kind of fill that void left behind by Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, they have to have playmakers. You're paying Kirk Cousins a whole lot of money. Dalvin Cook was excellent last season. If you don't have the playmakers on the outside, neither of those guys are going to be able to replicate. Well, Cook's not going to be able to replicate what he did last year. They're good at tight end, but they have to have another wide receiver on the outside, especially if you're going to continue to move Adam Thielen in and out. You got to have somebody out there. So Mims here, I think a good athletic profile works well for them.
Yep, it's always good to have a good tight end, Kyle. Number 23, the New England Patriots, who have needs all over the field. This may be the worst New England Patriots team I've seen as a whole in a while. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird to say. I mean, their defense still has playmakers on it, which is still solid, but it's just not the same offense that we're used to seeing. But really, there's nobody here that's going to make them that much better. So why not stay on the defensive side of the ball and continue to get better? They have a need at edge rusher now that Kyle Van Noy is no longer there in town. AJ Epinesa, edge rusher out of Iowa, is who we have going to the New England Patriots.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, they've lost a lot of guys that can create pressure, and they're going to have to be able to do that. So I know that their cornerbacks are really good. They did very well against the pass last year, but if you don't have a pass rush, your cornerbacks can only take you so far.
Agreed. Number 24, the New Orleans Saints. We have them taking linebacker Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. Another one of these solid linebacker picks. He's going to be, a leader on the defensive side of the football. A defense which is not bad. One of the best run defenses in football. They struggled in the secondary at times, but Kenneth Murray can kind of give them some stability there, second level at the linebacker position.
Yeah, Kenneth Murray is a guy that when you look at linebackers that can get all over the field and get all over the field in a hurry, he definitely fits that profile. He's going to be an excellent fit here in New Orleans.
All right, number 25, Minnesota Vikings here. And does Everson Griffen come back? I mean, there's tweets that's come out here recently saying, hey, don't say never is never, from me coming back to the Vikings. But as of right now, they're going to need some help on the defensive line. We have them taking Neville Gallimore, which is fun to say because it reminds me of Aaron Neville and that giant mole, out of Oklahoma going to the Vikings.
I'd much rather have Minnesota take a cornerback here, but the only cornerback that really is in this draftable area is Trayvon Diggs, the brother of Stephon Diggs. I don't think that that's going to match up very well. Jake and I had an off-screen conversation about that one, but we're going to go ahead and leave that one be, and I think Gallimore here is a good fit for them on the interior of the defensive line.
Agreed. Number 26. Now, you mentioned earlier with the Miami Dolphins knocking the first round out of the park. And abso-freaking-lutely, because they filled a lot of needs early, and they still get the opportunity to add to the offensive line here at 26, getting one of the most versatile offensive tackles in the draft with Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa.
Yeah, and you could go sexy here, and you could say, oh, let's get ourselves a running back, but some of these running backs are going to fall, as you might see here in a couple of minutes, and invest in that offensive line. Do it. Keep Ryan Fitzpatrick up, and then when you turn it over to Justin Herbert, keep him up as well. He'll have plenty of time to throw.
27, Seattle Seahawks now on the clock. No more Jadeveon Clowney. They need some help creating some pressure off of the edge. Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame would be the pick here at 27.
One of the freakiest athletes in this draft. The dude has a high motor. He's going to be all over the place. Absolutely love his ceiling. Yes, he might be a little bit more of a project, but this is going to be a guy that, if coached correctly, is going to be a force for the next few years.
Agreed. 28, the Baltimore Ravens had the deal fall through with Michael Brockers, right? They thought they had that defensive line completely solidified. Well, now that he's no longer there, there's still a need, and Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher out of Penn State, is not only fun to say, Kyle, but he's a pretty good football player.
He is, and the identity of the Baltimore Ravens for so long was defense, and then all of a sudden last year, Lamar Jackson really changed what you saw there. Let's get back to some of the defensive ball, though. Let's add to the edge rush, and let's go ahead and get at the quarterback in this division.
Yep, let's see here, 29, the Tennessee Titans now, who are also in the market for an edge rusher. They need to create more pressure. They're off the defensive line. I mean, this is a very solid overall defense, but Zach Bond, edge rusher out of Wisconsin, is almost too good for them to pass up here at this spot.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill in the offense did a great job last year, but if you're going to get to the Super Bowl, if that is your goal there, which is for every team, you got really close last year, you're going to have some guys on the defensive line, because you're going to have to get after Patrick Mahomes and some other really good quarterbacks in the AFC.
I don't know if that's Bill O'Brien's goal, Kyle, to get to the Super Bowl. I don't see it. You said every team is trying to get to the Super Bowl. I don't think Houston's trying really hard.
When you said Bill O'Brien, I was like, we're talking about Tennessee. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, you said every team is trying to get there. I don't think Houston is. All right, anyway, moving on. Number 30, the Green Bay Packers. And this one, I absolutely love this pick. We've been talking here over the past few weeks that Aaron Rodgers needs another weapon, that MVS just isn't going to cut it. Geronimo Allison no longer in town. Not like he could really consistently produce there anyway. Why not go out and get one of the most hyped, highest potential wide receivers in the draft, Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU, going to Green Bay?
Yeah, if you've been a part of Headliner Nation for a while, you know that we've been talking about Reagor for quite some time and how much we like him. And if you are a Green Bay fan, please don't comment below telling me about how the Packers never take wide receivers in the first round. That's not what they do. You're not going to have much time left with Aaron Rodgers. Get him some weapons, for God's sakes. Come on.
Yeah, get the guy somebody else to throw the ball to. 31, the San Francisco 49ers, known for their defense, right? They were pretty innovative on the offensive side of the ball, and they have a lot of pieces going forward that they can still be just as effective as they were in 2019. So let's continue on the defensive side of the ball, and let's go after safety Grant Delpit, arguably one of the top safeties in the draft here out of LSU, going to San Francisco.
I like Grant Delpit. Honestly, I think he's close to being the top safety in this draft. He could probably end up going a little bit higher. Kind of have to wait and see how some things play out. But for him to fall down here to San Francisco, great pick for them.
Yeah, and it would not surprise me also, depending how the draft falls, if maybe he's not there, that if there's a wide receiver left on the board, it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they go wide receiver to get another weapon there.
Oh, yeah.
In San Francisco. At 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is where we have Trayvon Diggs going, defensive back out of Alabama. the secondary second half of the season in Kansas City was super strong. That's really what helped propel them to winning the Super Bowl, was they're playing the secondary. But now, moving into 2020, they're going to have some more needs there in the defensive backfield, and Trayvon Diggs fills that role.
Yeah, you're super solid. Super Bowl champions, very solid team. You know, you've got everything that you need over on offense. Let's continue to add to that defense. And for some reason, if Patrick Mahomes were to have an injury again or anything like that, or the offense were to sputter, then you have a solid defense to help carry you until they get back.
Agreed. Now, we teased it at the beginning that we were going to go too deep, right? That sounded bad. We're going to go 2 rounds deep anyway in this draft. However, we're not going to break down every pick in the second round. We get a lot of comments saying, hey, what about the second round? So we've put together a mock draft for the second round. Kyle's going to highlight a few of the picks here in the second round, but we'll make sure we'll leave this graphic here up on the screen for you to check it out. This is kind of how we see the second round playing out.
Yeah, just to throw out a few names here real quick. And again, we've been on here long enough. So just to touch base on a few: Cincinnati to kick off the second round. Cesar Ruiz on the interior offensive line. We've talked about that, how that offensive line is going to be much better this year, but why not continue to make it better? You just took Burrow, number 1 overall, got Joe Mixon. Continue to reinforce that offensive line. Josh Jones going to the New York Giants. They don't go offensive tackle in the first round, but they're able to get a good offensive tackle to fall to them here. Jonathan Taylor, the first running back off the board to Miami. Mentioned it in the first round. Yeah, you can make that sexy running back pick, but there's a chance that you're going to see some of these guys fall. If Taylor gets to them here in the second round, even if it's not Taylor, one of the other running backs fall here, this is a great pick. They have crushed this draft. They're on the way to winning. The Texans with their first pick here, Joshua I knew I was going to mess it up. Even being a Michigan guy, I knew I was going to mess it up. Uche from Michigan. Love his talent, love his upside, high motor. Going with him there. They need a pass rusher, 100%. Jordan Love going to the Indianapolis Colts at the 12th pick overall in the second round. Definitely them having Phillip Rivers now, looking towards the future, getting themselves Jordan Love. J.K. Dobbins, next running back off the board, all the way down to the L.A. Rams. They just don't seem to trust Darrell Henderson. Maybe they will end up trusting him, but when you see a guy like this fall to you, and you've got a guy like Sean McVay as your head coach, give him some more weapons. Dobbins is a guy that can do everything out of the backfield. He could come in right away and help out. DeAndre Swift coming off the board to Seattle. Trouble there with running backs. When is Chris Carson going to be healthy? When is Rashad Penny going to be healthy? Take DeAndre Swift. T. Higgins going to Philadelphia, giving them 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. Give Carson Wentz as many weapons as possible. And there you have it. Absolutely. Second round. Got him up there on the board for you.
That's right. Absolutely. Take a look at the picks here. We'll leave them up here for a second. And like you guys said, down below in the comment section, people have been saying, hey, can we get a second round? We read the comment section. We try to respond to as many of them as we possibly can, as much as we can get to. We want to make this show as interactive as possible, right? So maybe you see things falling differently. That's cool. That's why we do mock drafts. That's why we play out different scenarios. I think a lot of people take this a little bit too much to heart and don't really take it for what it's worth, as us just trying to play out different scenarios. Let's see where the pieces fall if certain teams make certain moves. That's what this is all about. But if maybe you see a need somewhere else or a player that you would put somewhere else, put it down below in the comment section. We want to be as interactive as possible. We need things right now to take our mind off of all the crap in the world. Why not talk about some football and give us something fun to look forward to? That's what this is all about. Love doing mock drafts. We'll probably have another, maybe only one more, Kyle, maybe one more. This may be the last one before the draft.
It could be.
This could be the last one unless something crazy changes here. So let us know down below in the comment section. Make sure you hit that like button for us. If you're new here and you love NFL football, hit the subscribe button, because you're not going to find more content NFL-based anywhere else. We greatly appreciate all the support. Hopefully you enjoyed this mock draft. Take a look out for all of our other videos. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.